Peace and grand rising to the sovereign, original, indigenous, natural, divine heirs. Today is June the 13th, 1442 on the ancient moon calendar, 1441 on the ancient sun calendar. Empress, you had something that you wanted to share with us. Go ahead and share what you wanted to share, Empress. Empress that spoke earlier.
Thank you. So I took a Uber the other day, and my driver was Indian, and he was making light conversation. So I ended up telling him who I was, and and what was going on with us, and so he listened for a minute, and then he stopped. When he got to our destination, he stopped. He turned around. He took his mask off, and he said, "Let me share something with you." He said that, of course we know that on our land, in the media, they don't tell us what people outside of the other nations hear on their land. But he's saying, they are not, they're keeping everyone really blind. And that said that they are coming up with tier after tier of the vaccine. And he's trying to tell his people, don't take it. A lot of people aren't listening, but the people who are, he said they're leaving the country because he said they're not gonna take these vaccines. Mm-hmm. So they are leaving. And I said, oh,
wow.
Yeah. And
wow.
So he said, of course he warned me not to take the vaccine, because I was like, I tell people too, and a lot of people, they just don't hear. He was like, yeah, don't take that vaccine, because he was like, it's the elite, they're behind it all. He said, Bill Gates, he's an engineer in software. He's not into medicine, and he's behind, all the vaccines and stuff like that. I said, it's very true. So, he was telling me, just his awareness. And the people who do not have to be here, they're leaving. They're not about to sit here and take all those vaccines. So I said, wow, that's going to be a lot of people leaving and fly to the United States, and they just won't support it anymore by other nations because they're leaving. So that's what I wanted to share.
So thank you for that, Empress, because that affirms what we already know about this landmass here. And it's falling right in alignment with what we're doing. That is the great exodus. Yes, Empress portion in the chat. That's the great exodus.
If you took an Uber as a contractor, you had a credit card, you dumb bitch. An Uber is a contract, you assholes.
Hold on.
Uber is a contract. You have to use a credit card to take an Uber. So you're so fucking full of shit.
Okay. So let me respond to that, because I love when they come here and do what they do, because they just point out further how right we are. It's not a contract. If you're using a card on an account that has had the corporate covering ripped off of it. So no, it's not a contract. That's why we do what we do. Because we have terminated all corporate contracts on those things that were previously corporate bank accounts that the citizens do not own. And we have gone ahead and claim that as a sovereign resource account. So when you slide that card, you're spending sovereign credit. You're not spending fiat. Fiat is not zeros and ones. Fiat is that green stuff with capital letters all over it that is signed with a black signature on it. So I like when we do that. But back to the issue.
Fucking Pauline's fantasy bullshit.
Back to the issue.
Pauline's fuck.
I used
back
to
to the issue.
We used to say.
I'm gonna block that number.
We used to say in the hood back in the day, you so smart, you stupid. You know.
So they, this is a court. We have to have a court jester every now and then. So, and he provides good entertainment. He and his buddies. We love them. We love them. And we're not mad at them at all for doing what we created them to do.
Yeah, and you gave me some good energy the other night, didn't you, Pauline?
Yeah.
Crabs in a bucket.
Yeah, all of it. Well, you know what? He's not even in the same arena.
No.
So anyway, back to what you were saying about the mass exodus, Empress, I'll tell you this about that. Empress Portia said, "Village idiot." We don't want to call them names that they are not. We want to keep our nobility. We love them. Goodbye, out of the room. Goodbye. So, with regard to that mass exodus, guess what that's doing? It's leaving a whole bunch of property vacant, abandoned. And just as that's happening, guess what we're doing and what we've been talking about the last couple of weeks? The ancestors, they're giving us the keys to that whole vacant property piece. Come on, boys. This is awesome, isn't it? Our ancestors do not miss when it comes to timing. They got us, period. And where did those ones that, see, this whole coronavirus thing is the crown virus. So for us, it's the crown going back on the heads of the Moors, period. And anybody whose head is not Moorish or a subject of the Moors, I don't know. And we know. Just go ahead and yield.
Light.
Yes.
You repeat that? They gave you the keys?
About what, Empress?
They gave you the keys? They handed the keys over?
Yes. The ancestors are handing us the keys to the vast estate. Everything that's vacant, okay, all of these properties that are coming vacant, those people are not the ones that Empress Shatali just talked about them leaving. Now, we appreciate that they were occupying until we came. That's what we told them in the Biblioteliotheque. Occupy until we come. When we come, we're going to be competent enough to do what we need to do. There will be no war. No need for war, is it? If they're just up and leaving, we don't have to fight nobody, is what I'm saying. No need for war. We proclaim peace on the land. So now think about this. Those ones that were doing business as Hindu and Indian, which we love them, most of them lived in palatial homes, didn't they? Palatial domiciles. It was homes for them and domiciles for us. Beautiful, with lots of beautiful furniture and all of that. Well, you can't put all of that stuff on an airplane or a boat or wherever. Where you going to take it? Where you going to put it when you get there? All of that. So, Morris, as long as we remain peaceful, that's why I said we don't have to worry about the hybrids. We don't have to worry about them. There's no war. There's no fighting. All we have to do is stand up and be ourselves. And then learn these processes. And the processes are out on the public record. We're going to keep putting them out there competently. And as we speak competently and then move peacefully, we don't have no enemies. We never had any enemies. We don't have them. Ain't no such thing as someone who's an enemy of the Moors. Either you're the Moors or you're the subject. Everybody else don't exist. So what we're talking about today even is another piece of the puzzle that we are putting together as a nation to, yes, and Sister Jezreel, yes, judge the earth, for thou shalt inherit all nations. Period. Period. So as the properties become vacant, All we have to do is these processes that we've been pointing out last week, to be precise. We showed how we're able to, and Justice Jemiah, I have in addition to what you were saying too, but we have all that we need. Yes, Empress Portia, everyone's going back to their own fig tree. That's correct. Those ones that are doing business as Hindu and Indian, and Indians are from India, by the way, and that's all Indians are from India. Just like all Moors are from ancient Morocco. And ancient Morocco is the whole earth, by the way. So these processes, pay close attention to them, because we're looking at what the hybrids did, and they're teaching us how to govern with these processes. And then we just toss all the fat and stuff we don't need away and keep it allodial and sovereign the whole time. The video from Sunday, from Thursday. The video from this past Thursday, I put some documents under the video, a link to a folder that has all the documents in it for claiming the vacant property. And then once you claim the vacant property and you do all the notifications, it's not an overnight process because you'd have to do due process. The processes are administrative. That is a ministry. So you just, give proper notification, wait the amount of time. It's probably 90 days from the day that the lien is done. And during that 90-day period, you're prepping for all of these things that we are doing right now, which is the court action, notification, getting ready to inspect the property, and all of that. That's what we're doing over the 90-day period while we're giving the lien time to cure. However, as the sovereigns, I will say this, we don't have to wait 90 days. But we want to do things ministerially and properly, so that we can say, we can look at it and say we did everything right. So we know that it's what it should be. Because, see, we have to be just and fair in everything that we do so that the rest of the earth gets in alignment with that. And we know that because we're known for our, just and peaceful, competent, sovereign ways. We're not called God for nothing. So that's what this is all about. Now, Empress Jemiah, you asked about keys. With these processes and the vacant homes and the vacant properties, you're not going to get the keys, usually. Sometimes you may. Sometimes you may. And we are putting on the public record that all who vacate our land leave keys under the doormat so that we can enter the property without damaging anything. Leave the keys under the doormat or someplace, preferably under the doormat or over the door, somewhere around there where we can get into the property, because there are many. Remember a couple of years back, they were already saying in the news that there were more properties on the market, and the real estate market is saturated, and they're going to have to do something because there's so many empty houses on the market and not enough buyers, quote unquote. Well, that's where we come in. The building is in our possession. We know that. The building from that we were doing this vacant property process on is in our possession. We set up an appointment, just to be fair, we set up an appointment to have the one doing business as mayor to meet us at the property and give us any keys and codes, etc. Well, a few came through, but they were too afraid to stop. One came through in a little red car, and he was coming through, and when he saw us, he did a U-turn in the street, bumped up on the curb. He threw up his hand like that and did a U-turn and left. So, you know, then when we looked back at adverse possession, we see that they're not going to give keys and anything like that. Do some more study on adverse possession so that you will know that no one's going to meet you there with usually they don't just meet you there with a bunch of keys and just be like, here's the property, you're the heir. That's not how they took it, and that's not how they're going to, that's not how we possess. Possession is that kind of word. It's adverse to the end, yes. Yes, Islam in the chat. And then Empress Shania said the locks can be changed without damaging the door. It's easy. That's correct. One thing I will say is there will be a way to get in so that you don't have to damage the door, but we have to check the entryways and things like that. And make sure that your documents are on the public record and that you have notified. Always keep notifying. No, you're not going to receive a letter from them. If you do it right, you won't receive a letter from them. They don't talk back to God when God speaks. They don't speak back. They just move out of the way. Like by the time we got out of the POW camp with our test in February, nobody sent us anything, no letter, no nothing. All they did was just move out of the way, slap a vacant thing up on the building, and said, okay, this is the next part of your test. What do you do with vacant property? How do you take the vacant property? So now that's what we're doing, making sure we go through the steps to take the vacant property, and it's a wrap. We've already done everything that we need to do, and now we're moving on to entry and inspection. But we wanted to at least notify them that we are going to be entering the property, so we gave them an opportunity to bring anything that they had, which I don't think they have anything, to be honest with you. I don't think they have the keys and the code. Because the way it was set up before, there was someone, and I mentioned this on a previous call, there were some guys from some hybrids from Russia Corporation or Ukraine Corporation or someplace like that, one of the Slovakian country corporations, who was there that day saying that it's their property or whatever. And then by the time I got out, none of that was there, and it was just sitting as vacant. So, now we're moving to the next part of the test, which is proper claiming and proper ministerial process where claiming of the vacant properties is concerned. We've been given a couple of hints, and we're using every hint we get by the hybrid. They've given a couple of hints and pointed us in a couple of directions, so we're looking at everything we see out there and following up on it. And then cleaning it up and making it allodial and sovereign, putting everything in all lowercase letters in red, making sure that we notify, and then we proceed to the next step. So, the properties are becoming vacant, and it's not just ones that are going to be torn down, raggedy and in disrepair. Well, some of them will be, because we have to know how to do that too. Justice Stefan Amorica Bay, are you on the call? If you are, *6, please, and let us know. I'm not sure if Justice Stefan is on the call. Okay. Justice Stefan Amorica Bay is Northwest, a Mexican construction and supply company. And I just want to send a shout out to them because they know a lot about construction and construction supply and all of that. So that's a resource that we're going to be calling for sometime soon. and they can do a presentment on what they're doing, how they're doing it, and all of that. We did exchange communications today, so, and they're willing to come and tell us what it is that they are doing with regard. They have beautiful photos on social media of their work and what they're doing, and we just honor. They're in their proper status. They let everyone know they're a moorishe company, and for that we are grateful because they're doing big things, huge things. It's beautiful to see their work manifest. That's NW Construction and Supply Company, and they're out of Virginia territory. So having said that, I did not say all rise and stand, but again, we've placed it on the public record that all of our calls are court actions because this is the Congress, which is all Moors speaking, all of the Moors on the call. So who choose or consent to speak as one, using our sovereign letterhead and all of that. So with that being said, are there any questions or other comments or anything that anyone wants to share before we go into the presentment that we have today? Any testaments or anything? Okay. If you have something, then please star 6. And we can discuss it. I will. Go ahead, Nobility.
I have something else. Okay, so my car broke down, and it broke down in a place where they had security. And so the security, he came up to me, and so he was saying, "You got to get off my property." So that just blew me away. And then so then I moved down to another location, but it was all still on the block, the square block. And so I was by Planet Fitness. And so then he came to me and he said, you know, you can only sit here for 2 hours. And then after that, you know, I would have to call the police, you know, and then they won't care what's going on with your, you know, with while you're sitting here. And I was like, oh, he's giving me notice. That was notice. That's due process.
Yeah.
I said, whoa. I didn't, you know, all this time when somebody's walking up and saying to you that was due process.
Yes, it is.
I said, okay, all right, I got you.
Everything they do is a court action.
Yes. Yes.
And they're not even judges.
No. That was some security guard giving me notice.
Yep.
So I said, oh, yeah. Yep. So, hey, we ride along with them, giving them notice on everything that we do.
Yes. Yep. That's why no affidavits leave my desk here without all rise and stand. What you see on the screen there, this is a sovereign, original, indigenous, ancient, Al-Moroccan Article 3 court action. And even when I speak, I say the same thing, all rise and stand. Because we did not know that Joe Blow, the janitor down the street, was doing court actions and giving notice if we showed up on a property somewhere and Joe Blow came with his broom in hand saying that we can't be there. Yeah. He's giving notice. That's a court action, and that's why they feel like they can call policy enforcers.
Yeah. I got
because
it.
they've done what they call due process.
Yes, that was due process. And then he said to me, and he said, I'm just letting you know, okay? So what was he getting? My consent.
Yep.
Wow. So, yeah, I just want to share that with you because I'm like, wow.
You know what?
They doing us. They doing us.
Well, they were doing us. They're not doing us no more, because all we have to do, first of all, is not say a word to them when they come with that mess.
Right.
Don't say a word.
Exactly.
Don't say a word. No matter who shows up, you don't have to say a word. You can do a court action, though.
Yeah. Yes, that's right. Yeah.
Because, see, they're trying to do a court action. You should do a court action because your court is Article 3.
Thank you.
And then you give a command.
Yeah.
That's why we do what we do.
Yeah.
Because we got this, Morris. We got this. All of that kind of mess on our land has come to a freaking halt.
Yeah.
We have, because they've always known. All they're doing is doing what we taught them to do. Soon as you walk up to them, it's notification and court action.
Yes, it is.
I started doing that myself.
Mm.
Just because. I'll give you an example of that. Go ahead, Empress.
I'm sorry. I was just going to say because everything we do, it is a court action. You know, whether it's an agreement or a disagreement, it's court. So
that's it. That's it. And that's why the definition of court, when you look at it in the Black's Law Dictionary, it says any place without a roof, an open court, an open building, an open court. It's anywhere.
Yep.
And even the cashier at Walmart telling you to put on a mask is acting as a judge. They're saying to you, you have a disease that you might spread to other people.
Yes, they are.
They're acting as doctors and judges all at the same time. Why? Because the Moors stopped doing it.
Mm-hmm.
But then we started back again.
Yes.
And now guess what they're saying? In this territory, and they're saying it in other territories too, they're saying now that if someone comes in and they don't have on a mask, you can't say anything to them about a mask, and you can't even ask them about a medical condition. You can't say anything. You just have to help them. Because the Moors are doing what they're supposed to be doing in all the territories. We're doing court actions on everybody. Before we speak and while people are skinning and grinning, we're all rise and stand.
Mm-hmm.
I did it in a Zoom meeting yesterday. And it was so innocent, nobody even realized that it was being done. It was. I did it in the chat. There were some people that were, and it was a beautiful meeting. It was a beautiful meeting yesterday, and it was not a moorishe meeting. It was another kind of meeting where I was going to this Zoom meeting to support a relative.
Mm.
And in the chat, I had to do it. First of all, I showed up like this with my flags behind me and all of that. And by the time the meeting was over, I was so glad I did that because there was, I'll tell you more about that later, but about what happened and about how people from all other nations are trying to do the same thing we've already done because they were thinking we weren't doing it. But anyway, they were, giving a little motivational talk, and they was like, yeah, everybody stand up. I was like, oh, all rise and stand, because it's still a court action. And no one knew that it was a court action by me. All rise and stand. And, because later on in the meeting, and this is the thing about, I'll call it something similar to a multi-level marketing meeting. It was a good meeting. But I was only there to support someone who invited me, or a relative, actually. And before I knew it, they were telling people what to do. Stand up, do a dance, touch your nose, touch your chin, and all of that. That's jurisdiction. It sounds fun, and they got the music playing. But Morris, we gotta be instant, in season, and out of season. It might sound innocent, but that's a corporation, and in this case, it was a company because they had it in capitis diminutio minima and in white lettering instead of black. And it's headed by a Moor who doesn't know he's a Moor. But as innocent as it seems, I'm learning how to operate in those venues subtly, but still be myself, And even when I went into the Zoom meeting, they have you put your quote-unquote name on the top, like our names, our appellations are up in this meeting. So I signed in Pauline Denise Ritchie, ICDN. You know how they have MD at the end of their name, and they have, or DDSPC as a dentist and all of that. I just put ICDN and everything was in all lowercase letters. ICDN, and nobody even questioned it. In capitis diminutio nolo. Nobody even questioned it because it looks similar to what they've been doing. But I was invoking jurisdiction even then, and the letters were in white. So the ancestors are teaching me how to go through those type venues that are not, they seemingly are not Moorish related, but they are absolutely 100% gaining jurisdiction over citizens, and the citizens don't know any better. They don't know any better. And then once they gain jurisdiction over you, they start talking fiat. You know, and again, we're not mad at anybody because but we can see. But we also saw this. We saw that those in those types of meetings, they're missing a huge key, because there were some Moors in the meeting that were absolutely sharp. They know their stuff, you know, very, very sharp and very motivated, and their intentions are pure in some of those meetings, some of the Moors that are asleep and don't know they're Moors. And you can tell by what they're bringing forth that their intentions are pure. You know, because they're integrating love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice in what they're doing. They just don't know how to take it a step further. But I will say this, Moors, everything that we've been saying and doing, they're looking for it. By the time I got through with that meeting, all I thought was, I just need 10 or 15 minutes with all these people right here. 10 or 15 minutes to tell them and let them be the judge. And I told them, I was subtle. You know, I didn't want to be all the way out there with all that we know, but I was subtle, because that's the best way to move in those types of meetings, so that you don't just smack people in the face, but that you offer an alternative to the fiat piece and to all that, you know, because we have the keys. They're motivated. They have everything in terms of, the only thing they don't have is their nationality and the resources that come with the nationality, these processes that we're doing, where we're able to take hold of anything that's out there. Because, see, even with all that's going on, they don't see any way past that financial system. And one of the participants, I had an opportunity to speak to them after the meeting, and I told them that we introduced our own currency not too long ago. And this was a participant that is very much into the Christian piece. And we're not mad at that. We love the Christians and all of that. We love them. And they were all on board with what we're doing. Why? Because they're a Forex currency trader. They're a Forex currency trader. They see the back end of the currency piece, and they see that this thing has to change. Somebody's got to help here, because right now, with as much currency as going back and forth, nobody's making a dime, not one dime, because it's not backed by anything. And that includes the Bitcoin piece, because I asked them about that. What kind of platform how is Bitcoin integrated into the currency trading? They have their own separate platform in the Forex market, blah, 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 which means more fiat. until the Moors bring the gold back piece to the table. And we've done so. We're going to move carefully forth so that they know that we're not a part of the corporate capitalism system, so y'all gonna have to come this way and declare who you really are so you can really live the life that you're touting in these meetings, that we know, everyone knows that that's really not the truth right now. Because they talked about mansions and how they were making 60 and 70, blah, blah, blah. But then you look at them and then you do just a little bit of keyboard research and you'll find out none of that's true. None of it's true. Nobody's making out like fat cats with no fiat, because if we said move that stuff off of our land, didn't we? So it's being moved off the land. It's already gone, actually. There's a few, one or two little people, little citizens running around with that stuff in their pocket. But that's because they don't see an alternative. But the alternative is here. It exists with the Moors. It's here with the Moors, with all of us. So this thing has completely turned back onto its rightful side and its rightful standing. Everything is back in its rightful place. The Forex trader that I spoke with even mentioned the democratic platform versus the blockchain platform as if they're separate. And I thought, they're not separate. They are one and the same until we say, until the Moors say they're separate. So that's why it's important for us to keep moving in the direction we're moving in. I mean, when I looked at what they're doing and what they're attempting to do, they're going to be really good at what they're doing when they integrate nationality into what they're doing. You can be Christian and be a Moor. You can be that if you want to. The only thing we say, because Moors are sovereign, they can be whatever they want to be or whoever they want to be. All we say is when the truth is in front of you, just look at it. Don't turn away from it. Just look at it. Okay? That's all we say to anyone. That's the message to everyone. Is when the truth is there, look at it. Don't be afraid to look at it. And if there's an adjustment that needs to be made, make the adjustment so you can get past whatever it is. Make that adjustment so we can move forward. You know, because we're all having to make adjustments that are outside of our comfort zone. But if we want to be free, we have to. So anybody who doubts or who thinks that that system over there can help them better than nationality, I say do your research, please. We hit the nail on the head with the stuff that we're doing. What we have is they have everything else. They got the motivation, they got the energy, they have they know how to put things together, they have the organizational skills and everything. They have no capital. They have nothing that's the only piece that they're missing. But that's the only piece in every market, because we said move that fake stuff off of our resources. But when we say move something, that means we got something else to put there. That's what the dollarium is all about. Gold back. We have the only gold back currency on the earth. No one else has it. No, the yuan is not gold back. Just ask them. It's not. That's why it mixes and mingles so easily with that other platform. So what we do from this point is continue moving in this direction. Use our liens and our court actions and our accepted for value affidavits for credit. Use those to acquire what we need to acquire. Stay focused on the goals that we set for ourselves as a nation, which is the return of the vast estate to us, to include the properties, and ensure that the properties that you choose, yes, Moors need domiciles, we get that. The furtherance and growth of the empire is #1 priority over all else. You'll have much more success if you're thinking about the whole as you seek property and use these processes. You'll have far more success when you're doing it with everyone else in mind. We could have picked a gigantic domicile somewhere to do our demonstration on, but that's not really what our government needs from what I can see right now. Yes, we'll get there. We're there already. But what we do need is building structures so that we can govern from those structures on our land. And that's why we have done what we've done with regard to the property here at our territory. And that's just the first property. You know, we just picked one that was vacant because we've been saying for over a year, choose vacant properties so you can do your demonstrations on them and learn, let that be a starting point. Then we'll move to other properties. But I'm telling you right now, every property that we want is going to be vacant. Yes, the liens that we did way back in 2018, we liened the one that was doing business as Bill Gates. We liened his domicile. It's empty. They're out of it. We've seen the articles and the memes and all of that. You know, that is not as big as a great priority. We have the documents on it. We have the title and all of that. But our priority is government buildings. Aside from the fact that most of us have affidavits stacked up to the ceiling in our domicile, and we need space to put them in. You know, so with that being said, Empress Shaddai, are you here? If you could star 6.
Islam Empress.
Oh, great. Okay. I'm going to unlock the meeting and let the Moors who are on the outside in, because we want them to be a part of this presentment as well. We started a couple of weeks back, and Empress today she's just a scientist, a real estate scientist. And it is an honor to have the scientists from all of the fields come in and give to the nation the documents and things that are needed in order for us to properly and competently and peacefully possess the vast estate. These documents that we put out from day one, and we've always said this, we're going to always say it, the documents that we put out there, we put them out there freely, and they don't even belong to us when we put them out there. They belong to the people, all the people. So that's why we don't charge for the things that we do, because the more of us that do it, that's what's given us our strength and our velocity and our proficiency and all of that. Is our strength is in our numbers. And there's been so many, and I always use our letterhead as the example. You know, Moorish government letterhead. When we said, hey, it doesn't matter which Moorish nation you're from, you can use our letterhead. Doesn't matter if you're a new Moor or a Moor who's been out, you know, doing things for 20 or 30 years. Use the Moorish government letterhead in red and all lowercase letters. And because that letterhead has floated all over the earth already, and I am not even exaggerating, but that letterhead has gone all over the earth. And because it has gone all over the earth, that's what's giving us what we need in order to continue to grow as a nation and to have it so that our word is honored by the subject. And with that being said, I'm going to turn, I yield to Empress Shaddai for another piece in the real estate process. We've gone through the processes of acquiring the land and the possessions, the structures, etc. And we're not by any means finished. We're going to continue tweaking and fixing and updating and upgrading and rising with the grand rising in order to get the processes out there. And we'll be getting them out there freely, putting them under the video. We ask that you share these processes with as many Moors as you can freely. Please don't charge Moors for the processes. Please don't do that, because that is a barrier to Moors who don't have the fiat. And the ones who don't have the fiat are the ones who need the process the most. So please don't take the processes that we put out and sell them to anyone. And we're going to ask the ancestors to monitor that. We're not going to monitor it. The ancestors are going to monitor it, and anyone selling the processes that we put out there, the ancestors will be waiting for that to happen if you do it, because don't do it. Because we're asking, please don't do that. To give the processes freely to everyone. With that being said, Empress Shaddai, I yield the floor. Islam.
Islam, Empress. Could you do that share, how you do the share right quick so I can put that on the screen? Okay.
Yes, I will do that. Let's see.
Islam, Morris.
Uh-oh. Sorry, Sister Theodore, I hit the wrong button. Sorry. Oops, I meant to unmute. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
I was just saying hello.
The Grand Rising nobility. We're so glad. Grand Rising Pharaoh. We're glad you're here. I love it. I love it.
I thought y'all started without me. I couldn't get in. I tried to get in early all the time, you know. I said, wait, what do you mean the meeting is locked?
You know what? I felt you. That's why I went ahead and unlocked it, even though I haven't received a text message from the, usually Moors will text and say, can you please unlock the meeting, but I felt your energy out there, and so I'm glad that you're here.
All right.
Islam. Empress today, I'm gonna pass I'll pass it over to you. Give me just a moment. And then if there's any noise in your background, Moors, if you could please mute, do *6, so that the Moors who are here can hear. Empress Shaddai, could you just say a word? Okay, I see you there. There you are. Switch presenter.
Okay.
Let me know when you see the prompt come over there.
Okay. It's taking its time, but it's coming. I see it. Okay, let me see there. And boom. Okie dokie. Okay, I did. I don't know if anybody can see anything yet.
Yes. It's small.
Yes.
Yeah, it's small. It may be small for right now, but I stated before, and I'll say it again, that all of the slides are going to go to the Moors, and I'm going to kind of read these out just a little bit so you'll know exactly what I'm saying if you can't see it. What I'm trying to do is kind of wrap up the process, and we should be done in the next 2 weeks wrapping up the whole entire process. I just got off the phone with Empress Light, and I told her the same thing. And then I'll put the slides together and give it to the Moors. They'll have the slides along with all the affidavits to get the process going. Okay. Okay, so let me move this to the side. I hear an echo. I don't know if it's coming on my end or not.
Okay, I'll go ahead and mute.
Okay. Oh, it may have been coming on your end because I don't hear it anymore. But come in whenever you feel like it, so you can state what you need to state. I'll give that opportunity after each slide, so at least you could come in to say whatever you have to say. Islam Moors, we're going into the sovereign inspection process. We've already went through the sovereign credit authentication process. We already went through our purchase agreement affidavit, and now we're going through the inspection process, okay, which is definitely going to be similar to the corporate process because, I mean, at this point we're talking about safety, and we're talking about materials, building materials that have been used that need to be checked in different ways regardless of the year that the property was built. You would need to know this information in order to make sure that everything is repaired properly and is, safe for any Moor to move in, whether it be a domicile or a property for business and so forth, okay? So when we're looking at the inspection process, there are many components that would need to be inspected when looking at property. For this process, I'm mainly focused on domiciles for the Moors because I know this is what most Moors are going to be looking forward to doing their demonstrations on. However, majority of this information would go to any property, whether it be a multi-unit, whether it be like some type of business. In a corporation, generally they would have a commercial property, et cetera, whatever. So a lot of these processes will still be the same. It just may slightly change because of the structure, okay? So the first box right here that I have highlighted with my little pointer is the structural elements, and that's going to deal with the construction of visible foundation, the foundation of the property, and evidence of any sagging or bowing of the structure, floors and floor framing, walls, ceilings, stairs, drainage systems, and windows alignments, etc. That's all part of the structural elements of a property. I'm giving the Moors right now just the basics. A lot of this will have to be for the Moors to go do more research, more study, okay, on specific items that you guys may need to really know further. You're going to need to know it all, but right now, just to get started with demonstrating, I don't want any of the Moors to feel like that they can't do this themselves. You can absolutely do it, and you definitely are going to do it. And then, of course, there's always going to be help with the real estate scientists that you're working with to make sure that everything is going smoothly. And we're here to help each other anyway. So there are plenty of Moors that have done these processes when they were in the corporate world anyway, and I'm sure you can get anyone to help you if need be in any area that you need help, okay? So, but these are the basics that you guys would need to know when inspecting a property. Next, we're going to talk about safety, which is operating fire and carbon monoxide alarms, fire sprinklers, the condition of stairs, hand and guardrails, and garage door openers. That's basic information. You guys pretty much know that already. And then next box, we're talking about the grounds, which is leased from septic tanks. If you don't know what a septic tank is, generally that would be in like unincorporated areas in which they are not, because they're unincorporated, they're not getting city water or city help with septic when it comes to, like, you know, toilets and waste and et cetera. Normally, if you're in a subdivision, generally your city, quote unquote, would handle that. But in unincorporated areas, you are doing everything yourself. The septic tank is for you to you know, get someone to come over and empty for you, okay? Next would be the proper drainage. You want to make sure you have proper drainage so it won't be any flooding on your grounds and et cetera. And the condition of the house's driveways, fences, and sidewalks. Okay, and the next box is the roof. You definitely want to know about the condition of the shingles and repairs and patches to flat roofs, because all roofs are not created equal. There are different types of roofs out there. You're going to see metal roofs and clay roofs and flat roofs, but generally flat roofs would be for buildings. A lot of buildings, multi-units and so forth, would have flat roofs. And a lot of you have already went on top of flat roofs just to be on the top of them, or sometimes they may even these days have restaurants and gardens and everything else on top of the roofs. Nowadays they do. So those are flat roofs. And then to clear vents, damage to chimneys, and properly working gutters. Okay, so all of this has to do with the roof inspection and so forth. Next, we're going to talk about the exterior surfaces. You want to have the correct clearance between the ground and siding materials, and you know that typically has to do with the property itself, and you know basically just making sure that there isn't too much close to the property. Even when it comes to like bushes and shrubberies and stuff like that, you want to make sure that you have things a certain amount of distance away from walls and et cetera of the exterior of the property. And the conditions of the exterior painting or siding and properly working lights and electrical outlets. Next would be the attic, which we want to make sure it has sufficient insulation, proper ventilation, and any signs of leaking or water damage that may be coming from anywhere. It may be coming from the roof and also may be coming from the siding. Next, we're going to talk about interior plumbing. You want to make sure there's no damage or leaking pipes. Proper hot and water temperatures, as well as functioning toilets, sinks, bathrooms, and showers. Next, we're going to talk about electrical systems. You want to, we're going to go in, I believe Empress Light will talk a little bit more about codes and et cetera, because normally we've been dealing with corporate codes, but we're going to have our own processes too, just to make sure for safety reasons that things are up to a higher standard, so the Moors will be safe and secure in their domiciles and in their business workplaces. Islam, Empress Light.
Islam. Speaking of codes, we went over some of that last week, where all the Moors have to do is look up any code. It can be international codes, it can be federal codes, it can be state codes, it can be city codes, it can be any of those codes where inspections and coding is concerned. You can look those codes up and then put them in red and all lowercase letters on a universal affidavit. So, and then use them as your law that you have put in place. So we are actually writing all of the universal codes, because the universal codes have been missing.
Terms of service that you sign with.
So the universal codes that we have we're putting in place is because there's been corporate codes, but nothing universal, which is everything that we do is universal. So take the codes, put them in red and all lowercase letters, and then put them on the public record as the code or law for your territory and for what you're doing. And then notify the hybrids that these are the codes, the universal codes for whatever property it is That's what we did, and then we put that document under the video from Thursday, I believe it was Wednesday or Thursday of this past week, of June the 10th, somewhere around there. Islam?
Yes, Islam. This is Justice Janaya. Can I add or share some information towards codes and property and living in rural areas? Because I live in a rural area, and in a rural area, just like you were saying, light, everything is up to us. So it's not a matter of being concerned about the codes. You pretty much are it's up to you, each person, to know what's safe and what is not,
Absolutely.
within the property.
Mm-hmm.
So you can, in order to get suggestions, it is good to speak with people who knows constructions, knows how to build buildings, and they can tell you like what's safe and what's not, like if distance as far as how far your septic has to be away from the house, and checking the water, if there's water with the property and it's in a rural area, to make sure there's a well and that the well is operating. So in other words, this is all the information that is just learning how to take care of your own property and know what to do in order, for building and finding the right persons to come in. If you're not sure how to do it, finding the right person, like I said, that knows about building to come in and assist you. That being said, I yield.
Absolutely. I'm glad you said that, Empress Janaya. I'm glad you said that because I live in my domicile is in an unincorporated area, and it's totally different from dealing with a subdivision because you are doing things yourself. So the way all Moors are going to be doing, and we're going to have so many hats, me and Empress, like we talked about this a little earlier. It was funny. I'm going to make a quick joke. I don't know if anybody's seen that movie Are We There Yet 2 with Ice Cube, and it was the one that he was moving into a home in it was kind of like a small little town, and it was when him and Nia Long, and they were having a baby, etc. And it was this one guy in that town that he really worked Ice Cube's nerves through the whole movie, but bottom line, the man wore every hat. Anything that Ice Cube needed for that home to get it repaired. The guy was the construction guy, he was the appraiser, he was like the mayor, he was like the inspector, yes. Like he was like when Nia Long had the babies, he was like the midwife. I mean, every time he came in with another tag. He just, flipped his badge over, and it was like another tag. I'm the inspector today, and that's us. That's who we are as Moors. Yes. We're going to be carrying around those tags. Could you go in a little bit about that, Empress Light, on what we discussed earlier before I move forward?
Well, basically, that movie that you were talking about, I saw that movie. And it's pretty much, that is the way it is. We have to wear all hats as far as building the whole house. So it's a learning process. And like I said in the beginning, of course, you're going to be getting assistance from other people that are professional and they know more about it. But, as far as your free will, and you have your own land, you can go build a shack, a little house, and not be concerned about anything. You're the only one that's going to have to be worried about whether it's safe or not. I mean, if you go build a little cabin on a 5 piece of acre land, and if you're not sure about it and you build it, then it's on you. But in order to make sure that it's safe and it's built strong and properly, then and you don't know how to do it, then it is best to go get someone to help you with that.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Yes. I'll say this about that too. Because some of the places, the domiciles that we're looking at and the buildings that we're looking at are huge. There are Moors who have the expertise there as well. In all the territories, there are Moors who've worked in construction and in inspection and You know, we've had every job there is on this landmass. That was the job that we hired the commerce people to do, is show the Moors how to do everything so that y'all can step out of the way and the Moors can govern their own vast estate. That's what this is all about. So we just have to keep connected with each other. We are self-governing, yes, in the chat. And not be intimidated by the processes. Don't be and if the hybrids can do it, we can too, because just if we think about how things have been run and how things have been maintained, we can do it. We can do it. and I'm not slighting the hybrids at all, because we appreciate all that they have done, but we can do it. We got it. We got this. And then they're in subject status, so anything that we need, that we may need some assistance with, keep them in subject status, and speak by affidavit. Don't pick up the phone. Always speak by affidavit, or do a court action over the phone if you're going to speak by phone. We got this, though. It's just know that when we're looking at all of these codes and statutes and all that stuff, the stuff is colored.
Actually, it's a contract. Simple. It's a contract.
Yeah. So, and we don't have to go by that. Keep it simple. If we keep it simple, remove the colorability out of what we're looking at, and put it in affidavit form, we'll be fine. We'll be fine. I'm having to do all of that here, and I know that the ancestors are challenging me to go ahead and just do what needs to be done. Because if you think about it, on those corporate, when we were in the corporate jobs and things like that, most of us knew our boss's job and could do that if the boss decided to take a day. I know I did. You know, many more did. We knew everybody's job around us. We knew what everybody needed to be doing, and it's the same thing here. We will know everything. We'll know everything because we're going to actually be doing everything. So, and then with regard to the code, I'm putting a link in the chat just in case, just to cover this base. We are a universal sovereign municipality. Okay, so Morris, please know that that we placed that on the public record. The video for that is on YouTube for that, with that document, and I'm putting the link to the video in the chat, and the document is under the video. We are a universal municipality, so that covers who can use codes and statutes, because, you know, the hybrids, they'll say, you know, quote unquote, just think municipal court. Well, that's the one that's been issuing tickets and doing all this, that, and the third unlawfully, you know. So now we're that. So we can, at law, issue our tags and our permits and all of that. And it's not permits for us, it's affidavits. So the inspectors, the moorishe inspectors, yes, you're going to have a CEO affidavit. You're going to have a postmaster affidavit. You're going to have your name change and judicial proclamation affidavit. You're going to have an affidavit that says you're a justice. You're going to have an affidavit that says that you're the inspector, that you're this, you're this, you're this, and this, and this, and this, and this. You'll have an affidavit for all of that. You already have currency controller affidavits and everything. We can do all of that. I have an affidavit for everything. So, yes, Islam.
I just wanted to come on to talk about, like, the different letterheads and
takes an Uber
just a moment.
The documents that's going to be necessary, and how everyone can basically make their own. I really think that you should consider having a basic template that everybody can use. because when you start letting people do their own documents, they look different, and they start doing, like you said, all these different affidavits. It can get lost in the sauce really fast. And if we're talking about contracts and making sure that we have agreements and insurance and stuff like that to make sure that we're up to par, I think that's something that I would love. And also, Empress, Tajiri, I love the way you say your name and who you are, and it sounds so good. And I want to know if you can please teach me how to do that. I want to learn how to say what you say in the beginning of before our meetings. I'm still a baby, so I really want to learn.
Okay, Islam, Empress, Islam. I put the wording on the thank you, Empress, for your input. We love hearing it. I put the language on the at the beginning of the video, so you can stop and start the video and write it down. And that's what we tell more to do with their court actions and everything too. Write it down so that you can, and then just start doing your own videos if you want to start doing your own videos.
Okay.
You know, and we encourage the Moors to do that because it's important, because you're going to have something to add to all of these processes that we're putting out here. Okay. And we need to look at all the processes that the Moors have. We need to look at them and see them and be able to do them, you know. So, Empress, thank you for that as well.
Yes, and I just wanted to add before you go, I have been an administrator a long time, so if you need any help with creating documents, typing, anything, I can give you a hand with that because I'm retired disabled. So you can use me if you need me.
Islam, Empress, you know what? Whenever Moors say things like that, I love to hear it. I honor it. I love it. It gives me goosebumps to hear it. What I will say is this, Empress, and this is always going to be, you know, all Moors. Save yourself first, and then let's do this. Save yourself first. Anything that you have going on, get them hybrids off of you. Get some hybrids off.
Amen.
Anything that they're sending, do that, and then tell us what you did. That's help. That's how we help one another. It's tell us what you did so we can see it and we can put it on the public record, and then we can take it and do what you said about give us a template and then let us put our study with your template. That's how we're doing all of this. The things that we put out, we're putting it out so that the Moors can have a study.
And look, I'm going to hang up after this one. I am a recording artist as well, and I'm already making some songs for the Moors. So as soon as I get some stuff finished, I'm going to share it with you guys and see if you love it or not.
Islam. Thank you, Empress. I appreciate that. Empress Shaddai, I wanted to say also, before I turn it back over to Empress Shaddai, that we are a municipality. So when I say municipality, it's a sovereign one. So we can, that's why we need the building, so that we can start issuing our own tags, our own everything. We've been doing that, and I'm just so grateful for all of the justices that have been doing that work, to include Justice Abbasi. Love him, because he is just on it. Justice Moore. And we also want to thank Empress Fatima over at Northwest, you know, and Empress Sharon Tracy Gelbay. We're grateful that because they were there when in the beginning when we needed tags and organization and all of that. So we don't want to leave anybody out when we say, because we got the go-ahead now where we can start issuing the things that we need to issue because we've placed all of the right things on the public record. We do want to, you know, so we want to make sure we put that out there. Empress Shaddai, I yield the floor. Sorry to take so long.
Islam, you know, I appreciate all the Moors. First of all, I appreciate them just coming in and giving tidbits on any information that they have that can help out the rest of the Moors. You are absolutely correct with the Empress that just got off the line not too long ago. She definitely could use her skills to type up her affidavits, save herself, and then pass those templates on. And then, you know, we'll try to use them like, you know, like we're all doing, because that all helps all the Moors. We're all going through different scenarios. I may not have went through something that you went through yet, but if you went through it and you've done it and it worked for you, and now it's my turn to go through those same things, you'll be able to help me out, and I'll be able to help you out as well. So
exactly.
I just love hearing that information. And I'm going to move forward with this because I don't want this to take all night with the stuff that I have to do. A lot of this stuff is going to be self-study that you guys are going to do your own. I'm just giving you the basic foundation of everything, and, you know, you guys can take it from there. So, yes, we were talking about the electrical systems and being up to code and the conditions and types of visible wiring and proper function of circuit breakers, outlets, light fixtures, and fans, etc. Okay. Next, if the properties have appliances and things of that nature still there, then of course you're going to want to check the functioning to make sure that the proper functioning of any built-ins and freestanding appliances, stoves, dishwashers, refrigerators, microwaves, washers and dryers, and all appliances, because those will be yours to keep, to do as you wish, whether you keep them in a property or, you know, you pass them on to another Moor, etc. You will want to know that they're in working condition. Okay. Next is the heating and cooling systems, the condition of the furnace, the air conditioning, temperature permitting, water heaters, chimneys, and fireplaces. Moving on is the basement. You want to make sure there's a solid foundation, walls, and floors with no signs of water intrusion or damage, okay? That's very, very important, okay? Next, the garage. You definitely still want to make sure there's a solid foundation, that the windows are correct, ceilings, the framing, the roof condition, working garage door openers if they're left. There are up to code and electrical systems and proper functioning outlets, etc. And then lastly is the insulation and ventilation systems. You want to make sure that the insulation in unfinished attics and foundation areas, kitchens, baths, laundry venting systems, and the presence of ventilation fans, etc., are in those rooms, okay? Now, all of this, as Empress Janaya stated earlier, is going to be for the Moors, to do as you wish with your property. However, I'm sure you will want it to be safe for you and your family, and the codes give you guys a guideline to make sure that everything is safe for yourself and your family, as well as these properties we're going to be passing on to our heirs and to different Moors. So you would want to make it safe for them. You wouldn't want to leave anything, that is pretty much messed up and that's not safe for another Moor. I wouldn't personally want to do that, and then something happened to another Moor on my watch. However, it's still for all Moors to go into all properties and do the proper inspection, no matter what property you purchase, even if you're purchasing it from another Moor. So I'm hoping that all the Moors are going to, be on it and about safety and just governing themselves in that way, because as Light stated earlier, and as she states always, we are looking out for all Moors. It's not just for us, it's about all Moors at all times, okay? Moving on. Okay, now other items that's going to be needed in the inspection, typically not by the inspectors, but these are things that are still things that need to be inspected, but most inspectors won't cover them, and that's pest control, swimming pools, asbestos, radon gas, venting equipment with household appliances, indoor air quality, lead paint, and toxic mold. Okay, most inspectors will not cover that. So that is something that there are detectors out there that you can get with your sovereign credits to help you with, testing for different things like radon gas and toxic mold, etc. And then asbestos, they don't use that material anymore, but any property that was built definitely before 1978 may have lead-based paint and asbestos. So, okay, so you want to look at the property and when it was built. And ultimately, me and Light was speaking about this earlier, and I was real impressed of your knowledge that you had on this, Light. I just want to, say this because most people don't know this information, but yes, you do need to know when a building was built. It's definitely going to tell you roughly about the materials that were going to be used at the time, so you'll know if of any upgrades that you may need to do to the property just based on when it was built. And you also would know and get a idea, because even if a property was built a long time ago, if you come in and it looks brand new and everything has been upgraded already, then most likely it's up to code anyway, because you can't use those old materials no more. If something was built in 78 and you're rehabbing it and doing construction on it in 2021, you're not dealing with a lot of the same materials that you were dealing with in 1978. So everything should be pretty much updated, okay? Is there anything that you want to speak out on that before I move on, Empress Light?
No, I'm good, Empress. I'm just listening. Can you hear me? Yeah.
Oh, yeah, I can hear
good.
you. Okay. Well, this is going to go quickly for the next one. I just want to show the Moors different pictures of damage to roofs. Right here, if you can see where I'm pointing at, that's a metal roof, okay? So if you see this, you already know what the materials that you're going to be looking at. A lot of these metal roofs generally are on industrial properties and also some commercial, etc. So you'll see that for that. For shingle roofs, okay, right here, this is the typical domicile. You're going to see most material that they use was shingles, and it depends on the area. Okay, because in some areas of the country, like in the Southwest, they use a lot of clay material, okay? When you're dealing with places that have a lot of sun, okay, dry climates, typically they will use clay material. So if you see that for the roof, you'll know what you're dealing with. And I just gave a few pictures of some of them that shows missing shingles or damaged shingles, so you'll kind of know and just get an idea of what you're going to be looking for, okay? Moving on, next is water damage, okay? Here's water damage to wood. You can see that just from the dark spots that this was old water damage. So maybe this area may not be leaking anymore, but it was leaking, okay? And you'll be able to tell from the damage to the wood. This is a wood floor right here. This is water damage. You're going to see this a lot. It might be buckling, and it might be, it may be just in this area, and then you might want to lift up the wood and see if you can check the area for maybe it's pipes underneath the floor, maybe it was a ceiling that was leaking, like over in here in this area. You'll see that this was a ceiling that was leaking over here. This was water damage from a ceiling that was leaking. If you see this in the properties that you inspect, you'll know what you're dealing with. This picture right here, obviously there was flooding. Okay, so a lot of times when you see, you'll still see drywall at the top, but all the drywall was removed at the bottom. That's because generally there was a flood and water may have came up a few feet, and they had to redo all of that drywall. And instead of doing all the drywall, you don't necessarily have to do all the drywall. You can only do the portion that was damaged. So they remove the drywall, they remove the electrical, they remove the flooring, and etc. Make sure everything's out. Then they would take ventilation fans and stuff and circulate it to kind of dry it out. Open windows and so forth to dry it out as much as possible before putting in the new materials. I just thought I would show you guys that so you can know what you're dealing with in that aspect. Okay, and here is fire damage. Okay, so if you see any signs of black soot everywhere, you know that this property has had fire damage. Sometimes it may not be the whole property was damaged. Sometimes it would be in one area. It may be just the kitchen. Okay, so you may not have to redo the entire property itself. You may only need to do the kitchen, and you will want to look within the walls and see how far did that fire damage stretch before doing any repairs, etc. So a lot of times it may be only in one particular area, and other times, like this picture right here, it may be the whole property. It may be the whole property, and that's okay. Again, heirs, we don't have to stress out. We're not coming from a place of lack like we discussed previously. You're going to have the sovereign credits to get it done, and we're going to have moors that come from that background of construction and doing those sciences in construction and roofing and plumbing and electrical and everything that you need to help you make sure that everything is repaired quality and safe for all heirs, okay? Okay, so I just want to show just a little bit of that. Now we're going to move on, and I'm going to show you a couple of things. Like, again, I'm going to give these slides to the more so you can have everything, but these are some inspection tools that a lot of inspectors carry, but also even limited inspections for a quote-unquote homeowner in the corporate world could do this themselves, you know, carrying a tool belt or a bag to carry all your tools in. Make sure you have a flashlight. Some of these places do not have the electricity on. You may even come at night. I would suggest coming during the day if you can. However, depending on your schedule, you may have to come at night. Having a screwdriver, that would be good, of course, to remove any screws, but also a screwdriver can be used to check wood as well as an ice pick for termites, okay? You can kind of poke it in the wood. If that wood starts crumbling, then there's damage there, most likely.
Every time one of you Negroes takes an Uber.
So next time, moving forward from that, from screwdrivers, etc., an inspection mirror. You can actually use your sovereign credits to get one of those telescoping inspection mirrors so you can see in areas that you would not be able to walk to go to and see yourself, okay? That inspection mirror comes in handy for things like that. And I have, continuing on with the inspection tools, measuring tape, okay? You're going to want to know the areas. Measuring tape is extremely useful because when you're doing your inspection report and you're writing down each room, you may want to know the size. And yes, you can definitely go online and look at old listings from the corporate corporate MLS and etc. to see different dimensions on different rooms. However, it may be wrong. So if you're going to be doing work to a property, especially if you're going to be doing it yourself, there's going to be a lot of Moors that know how to do a little handiwork out there yourselves, or you might have some kin or friends that may want to come with you. You want to know the size so you can know how much material you need to do the repairs and the construction needed. Electrical GFCI outlets testers, okay? You just want to test all outlets if you can, but definitely the GFCIs, those are the outlets that are around areas that water is concerned, okay? So you'll see those type of outlets around your sinks, around your bathtubs, and et cetera. Anywhere that you'll see water, those outlets stop it. Like if water ever gets into the outlet, it'll cut it off. It'll cut off electricity, okay? So you'll want to have a tester for all outlets. A ladder. Ladder's good to go into high places, go into attics, wherever you need to do your inspection. You know, if you're going to attic, you're going to want to make sure that it's well ventilated. You will be able to tell right away if it is or is not. And then also checking for damage to the roof. You can easily check by going through the attic to see if there's damage to the roof before getting one of your roofing scientists to get up on the roof itself and check for you. But for those Moors that lack the fear of heights, okay, and want to go on top of the roofs themselves, you're going to want to have that ladder handy. And binoculars, okay? People don't think of binoculars, but yeah, binoculars, you know, if it's, you know, kind of far up and you're looking at the roof or gutters or siding or buildings, you know, tall buildings, etc., you'll be able to see a little bit better if you have binoculars. And a digital camera, you can use your phone, you know, if you got a digital camera on your phone, or just get a specific digital camera, etc., to take good pictures. You want to take pictures of every room. When you're coming in the room from the doorway, it's always good to take a good picture coming in that room, and specifically take pictures of damage, or where you think damage would be. So when you're talking to your real estate scientists, and when you're talking to your roofing scientists and your plumbing scientists and et cetera, you may be able to, even before they come out to do their inspections, you may be able to, show them by sending them those pictures and et cetera, and to keep for your file. Because as we do this more, know that you're going to be doing this on more than one property, and we want to keep structure, okay, with our files and the properties and what's going on with which property. So it would be good to have those pictures, so you'll have a good structure going for yourself, etc. Okay. A combustible gas detector, carbon monoxide detector. It's always good to have those, even bringing it yourself. So you can have it on and check when you're looking at the functioning of the properties itself. You'll be able to check to see for leaks and et cetera. Okay, voltage detector, I think that, says for itself, instead of you doing it yourself and testing it. Some people like to do it by putting the back of their hand to test for voltage. You can have a voltage detector. And different probes, like I said, screwdrivers, etc., that will also help you, as stated, like for wood and rotting, etc. Thermometer, you want to check, and that helps you to check on the heating and cooling and how well things are heating and cooling and things of that nature. And then moisture detector is really good, because if there's moisture in a home, then next thing you know, you'll probably be dealing with mildew and mold, and there's different type of molds which you guys can do the study on. Black mold is one of the worst molds, okay? And if you see that black mold, you kind of want to stay away, get some good ventilation in that area, open up windows and so forth, because you don't want to get that in your body and harming your body. So it would be really good to even carry around some type of mask to kind of help you from any type of mold or mildew or anything getting in your airways, okay? Okay, so next would be carrying extra batteries and light bulbs. I think that speaks for itself. Now, I have computer and home inspection software. You don't really need home inspection software or a computer. You can definitely take hand notes, in which we're going to talk about that coming up, because we do have our own affidavit. But if you do want to bring your laptop and type in whatever that you want to type in, or tablets, that could always be useful. Coveralls, you want to dress appropriate. They say coveralls, but so you could get down and dirty, okay? Because sometimes you may be going into little crawlways, okay, especially like in the basement and so forth. You may want to be, you may be going through that. You're going to get dirty. Just know this. So, dress appropriately. Make sure you have even boots. Construction boots are always good. They're steel-toe boots. If anything falls on your feet, you don't have to worry about having your toes broken, okay? And look out when you're coming into properties on flooring. You don't want to fall through the floor. So if it's bending with you, bouncing with you, breaking, and there are flooring missing, I would suggest for Moors to maybe get some of those construction scientists to come with you, okay, if need be, because they may be able to go into those places that you may not want to if you don't feel comfortable right away. We want to make this as easy as possible and without the Moors fearing doing this yourself, because like I said, most of it you're going to do, and a lot of the domiciles you may not need to do any of this for. But they're going to just know that there are going to be properties out there that are going to be in bad condition, and that we're going to need to rehab and do the construction, do the work, so we can have it ready for other Moors and our heirs on our estate. Okay, leather gloves are always good, and I believe that speaks for itself, but having any type of gloves would be good, but you definitely want to have some type of gloves when coming into some of these properties, especially if it's in really desperate repair, because you may be dealing with things that might poke you, and, you know, you don't want anything that would, you know, poke you and cause you to bleed and et cetera. Okay, so we're wrapping up on the last slide here. And I stated already for protective face masks, especially when dealing with old properties, you will be dealing with asbestos. You do not want that to get into your airways. Mold, you do not want that to get into your airways. It's really good to have a face mask for those, for those scenarios. And once again, when you look at when a property was built, we'll tell you what you're dealing with material-wise, so please do the study on that before doing the inspections on these properties. But also, you may bump into a property that may be built older, but if it's already been rehabbed, and you can see, especially if these are properties that was on the MLS, which is the multiple listing service, for those that may not know, and it shows interior pictures, and it was already rehabbed. Mind you, there have been a lot of investors out there rehabbing properties that are on the market that are vacant, and there's no one domiciling. So even if it's an older property, if you can see other pictures, it'll give you a good idea whether or not it's been any upgrades to the property. Pen and notebooks, I think that speaks for itself. I already stated on screwdrivers, but it's always good to even have power screwdrivers or power drills, because that could really help you out when you need to do so, especially, once again, going into crawl spaces, removing electrical panel covers, etc., so you can take a look at the electrical panel. And then thick rubber shoes, covers, and etc. And I mentioned having those steel toe boots. Those are construction, but if you can't get the steel toe construction boots, then having thick rubber shoes or even some rubber boots will be handy, especially if you're dealing in a place that may have a little flooding, etc. And then I already spoke on the ice picks, but also would be marbles. Marbles are real good. You can put them on the floor, and it will tell you whether the floor is level when you're dealing with structural. Now, most of the newer homes that were built, you shouldn't have really any problem with dealing with that. However, I would check anyway, but any of the older properties, you may want to check, because back in those days they did not have some of the same equipment that we have today, so a lot of stuff was not measured properly, okay? So you may have, you know, where floors dip and slide, and you will be able to know that just by putting a marble on the floor and see where it rolls. If it starts to roll and you see it always rolling to the right, no matter where you put it on the floor, then you already know that that's an unleveled surface, a floor surface which needs to be leveled out, and you'll know what you're dealing with. Now, that's the end of the slides for today. And lastly, I'm going to put up, and I think it speaks for itself, is our inspection affidavit for all the moors. I'm going to put that on the screen. I want all the moors. And could you tell me, because I can't really see the chat, to see if they can see it. I'm putting it up now. Hold on one second. There we go. Can everyone see the inspection affidavit? Okay. Yes. Thank you. Okay. So the inspection affidavit, hold on one second. Let me see if I can get over here. Just to show you, of course. Islam? Can you go down to the right corner down there and put it on about 140 or something like that? Okay, we'll do. Let me see. There we are. Is that better? That's perfect. That's perfect. Thank you. Islam. Thank you. Okay. Thank you. Okay, so of course we always start with our government letterhead, and this is the Moorish American Mexican Land Bank Limited Property Inspection Affidavit. I say limited because a full scope inspection could be done if you would like, These are all third-party service. Inspections, you're going to do yourself, all moors. However, to get a full inspection is something that you will want if you want it. It's something that you don't have to do. It's only if you want it. You know, I would suggest on any property that you're going to be doing work on, you may want to get that thorough inspection. Now, whether you have an inspector or a contractor to come out that's going to be doing the work, either one will suffice. It would be good, either one, okay? And
or you can do it. You can do the inspection yourself.
Well, no, we're starting off with that today. We're starting off with that today. I'm talking about going into deeper things that they may not know about. Like there's something that we say in real estate called latent defects. And if anytime you ever hear the word of latent defects, that's stuff that you won't be able to see with the naked eye. And you may not know about right now, and that's fine. We're all going through the learning curve, and you're going to be learning and demonstrating, as Empress like just stated, by doing a lot of this work yourself. And for the stuff that you may not do yourself, and you have another moor that's working with you that may have more knowledge in this area, know that you're like a apprentice to them, because you're going to be learning from those moors. You're going to be learning from your contractor if they're coming in to do that work and you're not doing it yourself, or you are doing it but you're having help with a moor that is that you're going to be, you know, they're going to be helping you with the contracting, or a moor that may help you knows a little bit more and deeper on the inspection and can see things that you may not. You're going to be learning from them because they're going to point out things that you're going to know to take on to the next property that you'll be able to do yourself if you don't know it now. I just want to give I just want the moors to start doing the demonstrations and knowing that you can do the stuff yourself. We could do everything ourselves. I know I could be my own mechanic. However, I choose to have another moor look at my vessels when it comes for traveling. I choose to, but I know I can do it. My consort just fixed we had a riding lawnmower, but we were actually going to take it somewhere to get it fixed, and he got tired of the runaround, and my consort just went and started fixing on it himself, and the lawnmower is working. So we know we can do all these things ourselves, and as we move on and start demonstrating, you may feel like you're spreading yourself too thin because you're going to have so much that is going to be on your plate that you're doing. So it's real important to get organized and just stay focused on getting the organization. But you may need some help from other moors, and when you do, they'll come in to kind of help you see things, and you learn from them and take notes from them, so then you can, you know, use that knowledge that they have to move on so you can do the work yourself. Because I've learned a lot, not from the schooling system. It was literally from out there dealing with other people that had the knowledge and doing things hands-on. I learned a lot hands-on, more hands-on than in the book. So you're going to be learning a lot out there, doing the work, demonstrating hands-on yourself, than in any book or anything that you could Google. And it's going to be nice to have kin or friends and other moors that will help you out along the way. Okay, and your real estate scientist will also help you along the way whenever you need help, but it should be fairly easy for you guys to do a lot of this yourself. And then we always start, as Empress Light stated, with the all rise and stand, because it's a court action no matter what we do. Okay, domicile location, of course, you know to put that location here, and whatever date, so then you can kind of keep up when you did inspections, because sometimes you may do multiple inspections even on one property. You may start off with your initial inspection, and as you do work to the property, you may come back and then do another inspection and say, okay, I've done this, I checked this off the list, however, these things still need to be taken care of, etc. So you'll want to keep up with your file for each property. And then you can put in, as you can see, we have little, right here, little codes, just putting M for if anything is missing. Okay, S for anything scratched, D for anything that's damaged, B for whatever's broken, R for repairs or things that need to be replaced, W for water damage, and L for leaking. And you can easily do this. It's self-explanatory. Exterior, you can easily put, okay, is it in good condition, bad condition, okay condition, or bad condition, looking at the back door. Okay, and if it's in good condition, you could put, okay, it's in good condition. You might just put a check mark here. But if there's good condition but it has scratch marks on it, you can put an S right here for scratch marks. So then you'll know, oh, okay, it was in good condition, but it had little scratch marks on it, but it was still good to go. Nothing that you couldn't fix even yourself do the work. You might not even need any contractors. A lot of even this work you can kind of do yourself. Okay, so you would do the same thing for whether it's the roof. Okay, looking at the chimney, is it good, okay, or bad condition? And if it is in bad condition, well, then what's wrong with it? Does it need to be fully repaired or replaced, or is just a piece of it broken or damaged? And then you'll have your little code to put here. Okay, with each section, we also have little notes where you can write little extra notes down for yourself to remember on this inspection affidavit for each section, even for the garage. Okay, you see here, is the garage door opener operating properly? You could put yes or no here. Then you could put your notes for whatever you've seen, whether it's in good, bad condition. So we have right here the exterior, the roof, the garage, the yard, the fireplace, all coming with little notes. Then the bedrooms, bedroom 1, 2, and 3. You're looking at baseboards, cabinets, shelves, etc. The lights, the outlets. You got your notes section right here. It also says right here, the fixtures are secure. Are the conditions of the tile and caulking, are they in good condition? Leaks or water pressure issues, mold. Drawers, you can put all that stuff in the notes right here of anything visible that you see, along with your pictures that you're going to have. Okay, you're going to have many pictures, and then here's a section for other bedrooms, etc. So wait a minute, did I say that right? Okay, those were bathrooms. I'm sorry. This first section was bathrooms, bathroom 1, 2, and 3. Here's the bedrooms, bedrooms 1, 2, and 3. Okay, with your note section right here for the bedrooms. Dining room, living room. Again, like I stated, this is mainly for domiciles. However, a lot of the components for this inspection could still be used for building purposes as well, like businesses, etc. Kitchens, dens, if you have it, whatever applies. If you don't worry about it. Attics, okay. Hallways, the basement, stairways, with all your notes, utilities, air conditioning, circuit breakers, drainage, furnace, hot water tanks, etc. And then other, which would deal with asbestos, odors, wood-eating insects, or even rodent problems, period. Whatever that you see here, this is a section for any extra that you want to put. And then lastly is just an additional notes section, okay, that you could put anything else that you couldn't put up top. You'll be able to put right here in this section. And the end, Moors, that covers everything. This was 5 pages, okay? This was 5 pages, but it's just covering each room. It's very simple. We try to keep it to the point for you guys to make you guys feel secure with going in, doing the work yourself. As Empress like stated, going in, doing these inspections yourself. Most of this stuff you would pay someone to do. In a corporate world, you're going to be doing majority of it, again, yourself. However, if there are latent defects and you're dealing with a really poor property, really poorly maintained property, or fire damage, or any of things of that nature, there are going to be Moors with that science that can help you get to know a little more, give you a little bit more knowledge on that subject. And your contractor will be able to give you more knowledge on that subject and tell you the cost on how much it's going to cost to do the repairs. How many sovereign credits will you need to do the repairs? Okay, so that's the end of the inspection process. You know, it's very simple to the point. Again, I'm going to give all this information to all the Moors. Once I'm done, I have about 2 other processes that we're going to do. We're going to do like our own little appraisal, little mini appraisal, limited appraisal, and then we're going to do the closing, which generally would happen with the title company, and me and Empress Light are going to be working on that. So I'm expecting hopefully everything to be done in the next 2 weeks. If everything goes well, we'll do maybe next Sunday for the our own mini appraisals or comparative market analysis, which we call a CMA. All realtors use, or something of that nature. So then you can know if the pricing is right on the properties before entering into your affidavits with the grantor and receivers. You'll already know that information ahead of time because you would have done the work on that. And then lastly, again, would be closing, and then I'm going to have a checklist that you guys will be able to simply just go through the checklist and say, I did this, I did this, I did that, if need be. If you don't need it, that's fine. These are just all going to be tools that you guys can use, and little templates that you guys can use to where, especially if you're dealing with multiple properties, you'll know, okay, I did this, I did that, I've done this, everything is done, now it's time to close. And you'll know because everything will be checked off the list, and the only thing you'll be needing is to close and get to the closing table at the end so we can do that sovereign exchange. Okay? It was like, I'm done. I yield to you. If you have anything to say on anything that I stated or anything you want to say to the Moors. I don't know if she's still in the here because I can't hear her. Let me see if I can see.
Okay, here I am. I'm sorry. I was talking and it was muted. Before I say anything, Moors, can we give Empress Shaddai a huge Islam, please? She did an awesome job. Yes. Thank you so much.
Oh, no problem. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
Islam.
Islam, Empress.
Yes.
Thank you. Thank
yes.
you. Islam. Islam.
Islam.
So, Empress, thank you so much for that. We so need this in our nation. We definitely need it. One thing I wanted to say is as we go through these processes, the great transfer of wealth has already happened. It's happening now. This is it. This is the reset. This is the greatest transfer of wealth in the history of, because the estate is worth more now than it ever has been. Can you hear me? Okay, good. So as we go through these processes, you know, if we're angry or we're frustrated or we feel like we can't do it, the only reason we feel that way is because we're thinking we can't do anything about it, or we feel like we have no intention of changing it. We don't have to be afraid of these processes because we can change them. Whatever the current state of the real estate is, we can use these processes to change that state. I'm thinking about the building that's here and, you know, all that it has going on with it. And I haven't seen all that it has going on with it, but I was the moorishe fire marshal who did a basic site inspection on the building. So you're going to be fire marshaling it too, and that caused me to look up codes and things like that where the fire marshal is concerned. And we're going to be doing that kind of thing also. So we'll be going over that, how to do that allodially and sovereignly, because everything that we're doing to keep everything in our sovereign jurisdiction and not have any contracts with them, with the United States corporation companies. So we're not mad at hybrids or anything. Let's put that on the record. It's about the United States Corporation Company. We can do our own government services. So over the next few weeks and months, we're just going to continue in this vein. And then while we're going through this, those who have been through evictions or who are going through evictions or who may go through evictions, know that we are having to render unto Caesar that which is Caesar's. And that's really those contracts. It's not any property because Caesar don't own no property. But we have to be 100% with everything that we do allodial and sovereign. And however that presents itself is how we proceed. And we're not waiting for anything to happen. That's what these processes are for, is to get us ready. Go ahead and do your name change and judicial proclamation in red. And I'm going to keep reiterating these things because these are the basic foundations for the transfer of wealth to happen for each one of us. Name change and judicial proclamation, termination of all corporate contracts, all of them. And that's something that's ongoing. You continue to terminate the corporate contracts as you go until you're where you feel comfortable. And then also the lien and the court action process. All affidavits, whether it be your sovereign inspector affidavit or your sovereign CEO affidavits, all of those affidavits should start with the court action language. Because everything that we do is a court action, even when we appoint ourselves over our own vast estate. Because that's what we're doing, is appointing ourselves as not just the beneficiary, but we're also the trustees, we're the executors, we're the ministers, we're the heirs, we're all of that. Everything that has to do with our estate, we're it, all of us. And there's no hat that any one of us cannot wear. On a forward-thinking level, let me say this about why we're doing all that we're doing. Another reason why, because there are many reasons why we're doing what we're doing. Aside from the fact that we need our vast estate, we need our resources. This that we're doing right now is in preparation for, and this is just one other step beyond what we're doing. This is in preparation for the unveiling and the revelation of our ancient buildings and structures that were previously buried in the great deluge, the great flood, the mud flood. Because we're going to have to do some things where those buildings are concerned as well. But right now we need to deal with getting more, each one of us getting our own self stabilized, getting us into domiciles, making sure those domiciles are safe and comfortable, while the empire and the furthering of it and the growth of it is the number one priority for all of us. It has to be for all of us, because one of the things that happened in the fall is that many got very comfortable in the big giant domiciles that we had. Got so comfortable that we decided we weren't going to govern anymore. And as soon as some started not governing anymore, those domiciles, they got booted from them because they weren't watching and paying attention to the process enough to know that the lettering had changed, that the documents had been changed on them. That will never happen again. It will never happen again, because we're going to continue sharing with each other. And when we first started doing this work, there was some saying that all of that stuff that you all are doing does not need to be out on YouTube. That's something that you're supposed to do in a private meeting, and that's where this information is supposed to come out. No, it needs to be on the public record. It needs to be on the public record so that everything that we're doing, all Moors can do it. because we got to wear all the turbans and the feathers and the hats on the land. We got to wear all of that. With that being said, are there any questions or comments or anything about any of the processes? Any questions for instance today? Who's just, I mean, she's a scientist, I'm telling you. But, you know, I'll say this. She puts in the work. She's a scientist. We're very grateful for her. And for all the Moors who are scientists, you know, who are doing the work on this landmass. Together, how can we lose? We can't lose with the stuff we got here, with the information we have. Are there any questions, comments, etc.?
Yes, this is Dr. Shaddai. There's a noise in the background.
Okay.
Okay.
Go ahead.
This is kind of a stepping out of the box for me. I want to offer a service, a counseling kind of service, it would be based on meditation and getting in touch with our higher self. It would be done on a platform, and I'm putting it out there to see how many people are out there wanting to do that, to help guide ourselves to that higher self, because that is where the answers are. And when we make that connection with our ancestors, with the higher self, then we are able to do all the things, like you say, light, you know, we can do everything. But I know because of the programming, a lot of us still have a lot of doubt and uncertainty. So doing the meditation and getting in touch with the higher self and the ancestors will give you guidance, it will give you confidence, and it help you move to the next step. So I want to do that. It won't be a long platform. It would just be for a few minutes just to give basic information and answer a few questions. So if I can get some kind of a response in the chat, yes, me, see how many people are interested, and then it would be a go. I yield.
Empress, do you want to put your email address in the chat so that they can contact you about it?
Sure.
So the spiritual aspect of what we're doing, because there always definitely is one, let us ensure that we keep the spiritual aspect front and center, so that we know that what we're doing is not being done the same way it was done in the corporate arena, and all of those old ideas about how things were done need to be shed. That they won't even serve you in this where we're going, you know, in terms of, you know, one more sucking up all the properties and then pimping it out to the rest of the Moors and the way it used to be done in the past. Please don't come with that corporate mindset, because you only hurt yourself when you do that. This is for every one of us. And we're going to be, Empress Portia said it in the chat earlier, we're going to be employing each other. And if there's a Moor who is, you know, needs an inspection done, they can call me or someone else, and we're like, okay, I've only done one inspection before, but I'm going to do another one. I'll help my sister inspect her property, and then we'll put the inspection results on the public record. You know, that's how this is being done. This is how we proceed. Because guess what? That's how the hybrids did it back in the 20s and 30s and all of that when they came over here. Can you imagine what they must have been thinking when they saw the grandeur of our buildings, that they were, and that we left the buildings and they moved in and they had to maintain, which, you know, if you go to some of those buildings now, not all of them have been maintained properly. The limestone buildings, the Capitol structure, the White House and all of that, those types of buildings have not been maintained like they should. That's going to be our job, to get things up to par on this land and then prepare for the great revealing of the structures that our ancestors left for us. That I cannot wait to see, because there are so many tools and so much of our history that's there. They've already started unveiling some of the structures on the other lands. And I tell you, they're massive, they're beautiful, and they have everything in them for us, everything we need. But in the interim, we're going to get everything, all of us, each one of us, getting our own selves free and stabilized so that we can govern properly without the worries that we've had previously. We can do it. We already got it. Islam, Justice Joniah's email is in the chat. Keep the spiritual piece together, please, because it's most important. And again, I've seen people come with a corporate attitude, and it will cause you issues if you come with that corporate mentality that brings the greedy commerce piece to it. Don't do that to yourself, because it doesn't work. And I'm finding that in reversion of that spell, I'm finding that those who come with an open heart and an open mind, and when I say open, I mean open to the ancestral energies within you, and we're all thinking about each other as we go through these processes and free ourselves, that the ancestors are giving us everything we need. We don't have to worry about anything, and we can just go forth. We can move forward in all that we're doing without the United States Corporation Company and without the fiat.
Islam
I'll say this in closing.
Okay.
Yeah, I'll say just in wrapping up what
no, go ahead.
The building that we have taken here is 2.3. It's listed at 2.3 million, 2.353 million. Moorishe sovereign dollarium, or gold-backed United States dollars. So, you know, and we did that without a dime of fiat. So everything that we're doing it allodially and sovereignly, and it's sovereignly and allodially titled and everything. So we're going to keep moving forward as is. Go ahead, Empress. I yield. Islam.
I'm just going to say this very quick. Just piggybacking off of what you said, because me and you discussed about this earlier, and I think it's so key. First and foremost, I just want to reiterate what you and Empress Joniah just said. Spiritual is first, okay? You definitely want to deal with getting yourself properly in the right place, mentally and spiritually first, because it definitely removes the fear. And it definitely gives you that confidence. So I appreciate Empress Joniah, coming with her services for Moors, for all Moors, and especially those that need to get themselves in that place, because they know that they are not there where they need to be right now. And if that corporate mentality is attacking you mentally and playing that fear game with you, then yes, you definitely will want to meditate and do the work, okay? But something me and Empress Light talked about earlier, I said to her, man, what do we have to lose that we haven't quote unquote lost on already? Well, we've already did their quote unquote jails, okay? We've already done that. We have been through the hell. So what are we worried about now that we have not done, that we have not already been through? What more could you not have go through now that you and your kin have not already went through? Okay, so we've done that. The system not only is broke, it is over. It's gone. The hybrids are saying it too. It's gone. It's over. It no longer exists. If you think it's around, that's only something that's in you and in your head that you're going to have to deal with spiritually. But even they know, and they're saying it on the record, that it's gone now. The Republic has been completely restored. It was already here. It was just covered, like Empress Light was stating a long time ago to us. And they are moving out of the way. They have moved out of the way, and many times just a lot of us just don't know it. So I feel very confident now more than ever doing the pieces and demonstrating like Empress Light is doing on that building, and that we're going to be doing out there ourselves with our domiciles. I feel very confident that you're not going to have the same resistance that we used to get. That stuff is over. First of all, don't even put it in your head that that's going to happen. Don't have that in your head mentally, but and just just send out those good vibes, those good positive energies that everything is going to go well. That's number one. But number two, even if you are fearing that, for those that may be thinking and have fear that they have to really work on, that stuff is out of the way. They're moving out of the way. You can see it. They're saying it. They're doing it. It's over. So that, it's a wrap. That's why I said it. I think, what was it, the last time we was on the call, I said I'm about to get that T-shirt.
Oh, yeah.
I meant it because it is. It's over. So, and I'm seeing it. I'm just telling you guys on what I personally seen. And that's all I had to say. I yield.
Yeah. Thank you, Empress Shaddai. Yeah, it's, and all we have to do is keep being together, keep doing what we're doing. That's it. And be peaceful and move forward competently and keep talking to each other and working together and unifying and unifying and unifying. It does not take, 8 billion of us. We can do it with the more that are awake right now. We can do this. We got it already. It's already done, really. So with that being said, if there are no other questions, comments, or anything of that nature, again, Empress Shaddai, you hit another home run today. And we are so grateful for you. And with that being said, peace and grand rising to the sovereign, original, indigenous, natural, divine heirs, Islam.
Peace and grand rising.
Islam.
Peace and love.
Sister Light.
Islam.
Grand rising.
Islam.
The Moorish Empire.
Islam.
Islam, Sister Light. I want Sister Light. Can you hear me?
Yes, I'm here, Justice Awood.
Okay. Yeah. I wanted to tell you this. This is the time I was going to tell you, and I got cut off. That was like 3 weeks ago. Okay, when we first started putting our liens on our straw man, when I did Maverick, he had 120,000 stealing from him on that site. 120,000. You know what it's down to now? Only 2,000.
Really?
Yes.
Really?
Yes.
Wow.
From doing
That's
that,
beautiful.
and we did some affidavits. We sent it back there. So when they go to re-up, they can't because we got the lien on it. They can't do nothing. So they drop off.
Yes.
That's right.
Yes. Enough of all of that. Enough of them. Because, see, they were using corporate debtor transmitting utilities to eat when that's actually now our credit. So when we remove that corporate covering, we can then do an accepted for value on whatever is out there and take it. So that's our credit. Stop using that debt stuff. That stuff is gone. That's a wrap. Now it's time for credit. The creditors to step forward and use our own credit transmitting utilities, which is what a sovereign security number is. Islam. That's beautiful. Thank you for that, nobility.
You have a wonderful weekend. What's left of it.
Thank you so much, nobility.
Okay.
We appreciate you. Islam.